Miss Jennifer Dinnicenti, a junior from Oj Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Maximilian Volk, a junior, also from Oj Roberts. The lovely Miss Rebecca Emery, a senior from Oj Roberts, is escorted by the dapper Mr. Manus Weber, also a junior from Oj Roberts. The beautiful Miss Anna Schmader, a senior from Archbishop John Carroll, is escorted by the dashing Mr. Simon Crew, a senior at Oj Roberts. The beautiful Miss Tessa Zob, a senior from Oj Roberts, is escorted by Miss Emily Rhodes, a senior from Oj Roberts. Profile?
Yes.
The lovely Miss Tori Profok, a senior from Carroll, is escorted by Mr. Hayden Fink, a senior from Oj Roberts. The lovely Miss Leilani Boyle, a senior from Oj Roberts, is escorted by the dashing Mr. Ryan Davis, a senior from Oj Roberts. The elegant Miss Maddie Braun, a sophomore from Oj Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Jack Foligno, a junior from Oj Roberts. The graceful Miss Haley O'Donnell, a sophomore from Oj Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Adam Brown, a junior from Oj Roberts. The lovely Miss McGinley Jones, a junior from Haverford High School, is escorted by Mr. Kyle Waldhoff, a junior at Oj Roberts. The lovely Miss Haley McGowan, a senior from Archbishop Wood, is escorted by the dashing Mr. Wyatt Fleck, a senior at Oj Roberts.
Our next couple for this evening is Miss Stein and Miss Krosky, a junior and senior, one from Plymouth Whitemarsh High School, the other from Oj Roberts, being escorted by Mr. Pearson of Oj Roberts High School, a senior. And next we have Miss Kircher, a sophomore from Oj, being escorted by Mr. Honecker, a junior at Oj Roberts High School. And next is the lovely Miss Sarah Garitano, a senior from Oj, escorted by Mr. Joey Tordone, a senior at Oj. Our next couple is Miss Natalie Furch, a junior at Oj, escorted by Mr. Michael Langley, a senior at Oj Roberts. Next, we have the lovely Miss Star Schaefer, a senior from Oj, being escorted by Mr. Henry Kranowski, a senior at Oj. Next is the beautiful Miss Anna Deal, a senior, escorted by Mr. Tony Shea of Phoenixville. And two lovely ladies is Miss Morgan Evans, a senior at O&J, being escorted by Miss Ellen Lynch, also a senior at O&J. And next we have Miss Emerson and Delaney Youngblood. They're from North Coventry Elementary School, being escorted by Mr. Joe Youngblood, their father, a teacher at Ojrhs Roberts High School. Our next couple is Miss Cameron Ojrhs, a sophomore, escorted by Mr. Joe Garvey, a senior at Ojrhs. Our next couple is Miss Shavari Apti, a junior, being escorted by Mr. Michael Ravko, a senior at Ojrhs. Next is the lovely Miss Samantha Munzer, a senior, escorted by Mr. Andrew Malmstrom, a senior at Ojrhs. Our next couple is Miss Taylor Blasek, a junior, escorted by Mr. Gavin Frederick, a sophomore at Ojrhs Roberts. Our next couple is Miss Delaney Kent, a junior at Bishop Shanahan, escorted by Mr. Ben Samuelson, a junior at Ojrhs. And our next handsome couple is Miss Lily Bittler, a junior at Ojrhs, escorted by Mr. Garrett Hale, also a junior. Our next couple is Miss Harley Yankovic, a freshman from Ojrhs, escorted by Logan Murphy, also at Ojrhs, and she's a junior. And next we have the talented Miss Carly Arthurs, a senior, escorted by Mr. Christian Bernard, a senior at Downingtown East High School. And our next lovely couple is Miss Caden Roberts, a senior, escorted by Mr. Nathan Anton from Church Farm School, and he's a senior there. Our next couple is Miss Jaden Toms, a junior from Ojrhs, escorted by Mr. Stephen Warren, also a junior. Our next handsome couple is Miss Paige Aldred, a junior, escorted by Mr. Jackson Braun, a senior at Ojrhs. Our next couple is Miss Michelle Frank, a junior, escorted by Mr. Rithik Sangani, a senior at Ojrhs. Our next couple is Miss Gabrielle Sainer, a junior from Ojrhs, escorted by Mr. Dylan Montero, a junior at Ojrhs. Our next couple is the lovely Miss Morgan Schrank, a senior at Ojrhs, escorted by Mr. Sawyer Eisenhower, a sophomore at Cal U. Our next handsome couple is Mr. Carbone, a freshman in college, that's Westchester University, being escorted by Mr. Summerall, a senior at Ojrhs. And next we have the beautiful Miss Alexandra Simpkins, a senior, escorted by Mr. Ty Damasio. And next is the resplendent Miss Emily Robinson, a senior at O&J, and she's escorted by Mr. John Dolphin, a senior at Southern Regional. Our next handsome couple is Miss Chloe Doyle, a senior, escorted by Mr. Mitch Golden, also a senior at O&J. And two lovely ladies next. Miss Milena Melcher, a junior at Boyertown Senior High School, escorted by the lovely Miss Isabella Darlington, a junior at O&J. And our next couple is the beautiful Miss Caroline Thompson, a senior, escorted by Mr. Dylan Smith, a sophomore at O&J. And next we have the talented Miss Emily Hughes, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Connor Sargent, a senior at Boyertown. Our next couple is Miss Katie Halka, a senior from Downingtown West, escorted by Mr. Tony Ozzie, a senior at O&J. Our next handsome couple is Miss Quinn Kratz, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Jonathan Arditi, also a senior. And next we have Miss Alex Glazier, a senior, escorted by Mr. Dan Duffy, a junior at O&J. And next is the radiant Miss Devon Flame, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Jeremy Sullivan, a freshman at Westchester University. And next we have the beautiful Miss Lauren Hughes, a junior from O&J, escorted by Mr. Andrew Bloom, a senior at O&J. Next we have the stunning Miss Reagan Amon, a junior, escorted by Mr. Joe Mattia, a senior at O&J. And our next striking couple is Miss Jackie Howard, a freshman at O&J, escorted by Mr. Scott Brown, a junior at O&J. And our next couple is Miss Becca Wilt, a senior from PJP, escorted by Mr. Blake Fessmeyer, a senior at O&J. And our next couple is Miss Shelley Kriksky from O&J, escorted by Mr. Brian Regakra, a senior at O&J. And next we have the striking Miss Caitlin Walk, a junior at O&J Roberts High School. Is Miss Hannah Rasmussen, a freshman at O&J, escorted by Mr. William Reese, a senior at O&J. And next we have the gorgeous Miss Jen Weston, a senior, escorted by the very striking Mr. Matt Snyder, also a senior. And next is the lovely Miss Taylor Gindonato, a senior, escorted by Mr. Matthew Dinan, who's a freshman at Pitt. And next is the resplendent Miss Katie Curlin, a senior, escorted by the dapper Mr. Michael Dietrich, a senior. And next, the gorgeous Miss Peyton Barkus, a senior, escorted by Mr. Graham Pugh, a senior at O&J. And next we have the striking Miss Carly Jenyon, a senior, escorted by Mr. Vincent Polignano, a senior at Penridge High School. Our next handsome couple is Miss Zaria McDonough, a senior, escorted by Mr. Max Murphy, also a senior at O&J. Our next handsome couple is Miss Emily Wrights, a senior, escorted by Mr. Jason Zollers, also a senior at O&J. Next is the lovely Miss Annie Arditi, a sophomore, escorted by Mr. Steven Giacopinello, a senior at O&J. Our next couple is Miss Hershey, a junior from O&J Roberts, escorted by Mr. McLeod, a senior at O&J. Our next couple is Miss Shannon Doherty, a junior from St. Hubert's, escorted by Mr. Kyle Claxton, a junior at O&J. Our next handsome couple is Miss Alyssa Lobella, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Ted Bradford, also a senior. Our next striking couple is Miss Hannah Pugel, a junior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Julio Vargas from O&J Roberts. Next, we have the beautiful Miss Lexi Ramsey, a senior, escorted by Mr. Kevin Hatton from O&J. Our next couple is Miss Julia Dalton from O&J, escorted by Mr. Ryan Cusick, also from O&J. Next, we have the gorgeous Miss Allie Messinger, a senior, escorted by Mr. Brian Monk, also a senior at O&J. Our next striking couple is Miss Emma Kratz, a junior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Eddie Laundress, a junior from Morristown High School. And next is the lovely Miss Kylie Cahill, a senior, escorted by Mr. Dawson Stewart, also a senior at O&J. Next we have Miss Christina Hoffman, a junior, escorted by Mr. Christian Deanna, a sophomore at O&J. And coming back to O&J, Miss Katie Esterly, a freshman at American University, being escorted by Mr. Ryan King, a senior at O&J. And next we have the striking Miss Cameron Delgado, a senior, escorted by Mr. Derek Monastra, also a senior at O&J. And next is the exquisite Miss Laura Brigandi, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Jacob Oteni, also a senior. And next we have the stunning Miss Megan Sweem, a senior, escorted by Mr. Jake Puterbach, also a senior at O&J. And next we have the very talented Miss Autumn Sands, a senior, escorted by Mr. Aaron Jong, also a senior at O&J. Our next couple is Miss Talia Zook, a sophomore, escorted by Mr. Corey Wright, a senior at O&J. Our next lovely couple is Miss Mariana Ambrosi, a junior, escorted by Mr. Nate Cummins, a senior at O&J. Next, we have the striking Miss Macy Wright, a senior, escorted by Mr. Nick DeVito, a senior at O&J. And next, we have the striking Miss Catherine Sherwood, a senior at O&J, escorted by Mr. Samuel Whiting, a senior who's homeschooled. Our next lovely couple is Miss Marissa Bishop, a senior, escorted by Miss Lily Yakalashik, also a senior at O&J. Our next handsome couple is Mr. Mac Cawhey, a junior, escorted by Mr. Ty Vokes, a senior at O&J.
The lovely Miss Sakshi Navile, a junior from the Shipley School, is escorted by the dapper Mr. Ahmed Alvid, a junior at OJR. The stunning Miss Dana Moore, a senior from Owen J. Roberts High School, is escorted by Mr. Owen Gift, a freshman at Drexel University. The lovely Miss Sienna Fagley, a senior from Owen J. Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Brandon Rogers, a senior from Springfield High School. The beautiful Miss Autumn Andrzejewski, a senior from Owen J. Roberts, is escorted by the dashing Mr. Guy Butler, also a senior from Owen J. Roberts High School. The stunning Miss Anna Schmidt, a senior from Owen J. Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Jordan Roach, a senior at Owen J. Roberts. The lovely Miss Emma Halsey, a junior from Owen J. Roberts, is escorted by Mr. James Garrett, a senior from Owen J. Roberts. The beautiful Miss Kara McDonald, a senior from Owen J. Roberts High School, is escorted by the dapper Mr. Sean Steyer, a senior from Owen J. Roberts. The lovely Miss Olivia Deshenko, a senior from Owen J. Roberts, is escorted by Mr. Matthew Shimkonis, a junior from Owen J. Roberts. That's a wrap.